I often tell people, just if you have something like that dream, just do it because you can figure out things as you go along. You don't have to know all the answers right away.
Hello, print friends, and welcome. This is a bilingual podcast, so if you subscribe to us, you'll be getting episodes in English with me, as well as in Spanish with Reynaldo Gil Zambrano. Together we speak to people around the globe about their practice and passions in the field of print media and multiples. Hello, Print Friend is brought to you by Speedball Art Products, who've been a leading innovator and manufacturer of printmaking products for over 50 years. Speedball's speed screens answer the call to have an easy-to-use way to screen print, no matter your experience level. Whether you're printing at home, studio, or classroom, these ready-to-use mesh screens allow you to create permanent photographic stencils without the need to mix emulsion or coat a screen. All you need is your design and you are ready to print. Pick up the Speed Screens kit for the most affordable way to get all the materials necessary to print your next masterpiece. There's a link in the show notes. This episode is also brought to you by Legion Paper. Legion Paper is a fine art paper company that represents the best papers in the world. They either stock it, source it, or make it, with brands like Stonehenge, Somerset, Coventry, Reeves, Arches, and more. Legion is the best paper resource for every artist and printmaker's needs. Learn more about the variety of papers Legion stocks at www.legionpaper.com. Print friends, did you know that Florence, Italy is home to Srisa? It's a leading institution for art and design education. It offers highly personalized and experiential learning, meeting American university standards for study abroad programs in fine art, liberal arts, and design. Educators interested in teaching at Srisa can lead a faculty-led program utilizing its top-notch printmaking facilities in one of the world's most inspiring cities. To learn more, email info@srisa.org. And don't forget to mention the Hello Print Friend podcast for exclusive discounts and perks. My guest this week is Daniel Chiaccio. We talk about starting a community access printmaking studio in Brattleboro, Vermont, how a stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis changed his life and his artistic journey, and building the community you want to see in the world. Hi, Daniel. How's it going?
It's good. How are you, Miranda?
I'm really good. I'm good. Thank you for reaching out and suggesting that we have a chat. I definitely have known First Proof for a while and have followed your story a bit. And I'm just really excited to get a chance to get to know you better and learn more about this journey that you've been on.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride, but it's been a fun one.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Could you please introduce yourself for our listeners and let them know who you are and where you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Daniel Chiaccio. I'm currently in Guilford, Vermont, and my studio is located in Brattleboro, Vermont, which is the southern part of the state. And I own and operate a community printmaking studio called First Proof, where we do memberships, workshops, daily events, gallery openings, and we also act as a storefront where members can sell their work. We also participate with local nonprofits, things like youth service programs or the Boys and Girls Club. And yeah, we've been doing that for the past 4 years. We started in 2020. And I keep saying we, but it's just me.
Yeah.
I'm the sole proprietor of the business. So it's been just me. We started March 6, 2020. And yeah, that was a crazy time to start a business for sure.
It's an auspicious date. Yeah.
Yeah. That was back when no one really knew what was happening or how bad COVID was going to be. And then made it through, though.
Yeah.
Very thankful for that.
That's wonderful. And where did you grow up and what role did art have in that part of your life?
I grew up in Freiburg, Maine. It's a very small town. I was probably one of the only artists in my whole high school class, things like that. I always found art to be just what I enjoyed the most. Even as a kid, I wanted to design Hot Wheels cars for a living. That was my go-to. That didn't work out because I think my designs were a little too extreme, too many rocket boosters and spoilers and stuff. But I stuck with the whole art thing, and I was always so connected with my art teachers and just knew right away that's what I wanted to do. And I was really bad at math and stuff, so it made sense. So after graduating, I got my BFA in illustration at the New Hampshire Institute of Art. And then I pursued an internship at ZMA's printmaking directly after graduating, which I'm not sure. Are you familiar with them?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had a couple of people who've gone through and worked with them a bit, and the 200 plus people who've been on the English language side of Hello Print Friend. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible program. And the directors there were basically like family at this point. And I learned a lot there. I spent about 5 years there, started as an intern, moved on up to a shop tech, and then eventually taught. And during that time, I was just going around like Craigslist and stuff and Facebook Marketplace and collecting presses, most of which were like free. People just didn't want them and they just wanted them moved out. So I had a storage unit for a couple of years, and that's how First Proof started. I always knew that after I found my first printmaking class in college, that it was just starting a print shop was something I had to do with my life. Just the environment and the atmosphere and just the work process was really great. So very thankful I'm able to do that.
That's so neat. And I love that idea of you finding homes for all this sort of wayward equipment through your youth, like with this vision that you were going to start First Proof. So how many years was it between really starting to think about it and starting to collect work and then opening your doors on March 6th?
I want to say it was about 4 years. I just had a storage unit for a long time. And I remember one time I had like $8 in my bank account. So it was pretty bare bones and I put like everything into it. But yeah, I would say it took about 4 or 5 years of collecting and just learning. And then the business side of it, I'm still learning. And yeah, honestly, I'm just making it up as I go. So the IRS doesn't listen to this podcast. I'm still figuring all that stuff out. But I often tell people, just if you have something like that dream, just do it, because you can figure out things as you go along. You don't have to know all the answers right away. And that's a tough lesson I had to learn going through it.
I think about this in terms of, okay, that model of having a shop where you're like, okay, I do classes and I do some community access and I do some selling work and I just a little bit of everything. You know, you look around the world and there's a lot of people making it work all over with that multi-point, different income stream. And I think particularly if they center the community aspect of things, which you spoke to a bit earlier, if they center building a space where they're cultivating people coming together and having community and hands across the press bed, right? Because I think that we are so lacking in true community spaces in the contemporary United States that a studio like First Proof has got to be just one of a handful, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's been great. And I find that people who are members, they stay. Like they've been there since the start. The retention is really great. And I often joke that like I saved a whole bunch of marriages during COVID because people had a place to go and get out of the house and just to have a space to work.
A space to express some things. Yeah.
Yeah, just have fun, really. And it's great. There's a few members at the studio who are able to pay for their memberships through print sales, which is nice,
cool.
having a downtown location.
Yeah, because Brattleboro how large is that in terms of like cities and that sort of thing?
Brattleboro is actually pretty small. It's about 13,000 people, but we have the advantage of being on I-91, which connects like Northampton, Amherst, Western Mass, and a little bit more northern Vermont, and even pretty close to Connecticut. We had members driving all the way from Boston at one point, which is about 2 hours.
Wow, that's cool.
So that shows that there's not a whole lot of shops like that around. And it was awesome to see that.
Yeah. I'd love to hear more about that experience of starting it and doing it when you did, as you mentioned, in March 2020.
Yeah.
And just, walk me through that a bit. Like you must have known that this date was coming up also in tandem with hearing more and more about this novel coronavirus, right?
It was crazy. I remember I did a residency at In Cahoots just to have fun. I knew I was going to start the business, so I got to just ground myself and realize why I love printmaking and just have fun with it. Because at that point, I was stressing. I was working on moving and doing lease stuff and all that. So I remember flying back and just seeing masks for the first time. And at that point, this was like January, February, and no one really knew. And then I had the opening on March, and you saw a couple more masks going on. And then 2 weeks later, that's when like shit really hit the fan. So I didn't really see it coming, and it was definitely a surprise and a huge pivot. Honestly, there was a time where I thought about giving up because it just seemed like there was no government assistance because I couldn't prove income at that point.
Right.
The business was so new, and you needed years of tax returns and things like that. So that was really tough. So I had to do fundraisers and just really be super bare bones. And yeah, at that point too, I was moving from Western Mass up to Vermont. And yeah, it definitely affected me pretty heavily. Super stressful. And also we were in a basement in our first location, it was a nice basement, but it was also not super visible. So it took a couple of years for people to know we were even there because no one was going out during this time.
Yeah.
So that was rough, but I like to think that if I could survive that and if the business could survive that, then I did make something special that people really wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. What were you able to offer during that time? Could you do just like smaller classes or socially distanced classes, or what was,
I would limit people, like 3 people would be in a studio at a time, just having their own corners. I did a lot of contract printing. So luckily I found some clients who wanted editions printed. So I focused a lot on that. I caved and I did a lot of t-shirt printing, which I don't want to be known as a t-shirt guy, but I was like, whatever, I'll print some t-shirts for an HVAC company. I don't care. Pays the bills.
It'll pay the bills. Yeah, their money's green, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a lot of that. And then we still had members paying. Thankfully, people are just amazing. And even if they weren't signing up for studio time, they were still just saying, whatever, just take the membership rate, which is really nice of them. So yeah, I would say all those things kept me going. And then as time went on, it just got more and more popular.
And tell me just a little bit too about growing the business. So I know that you're living a dream that I think a lot of print people have, which is to build something that's theirs, that can be their community. And what do you wish you knew when you started? What do you have any sort of words of wisdom for people who are going to hear this and be like, that sounds like a pretty good life that Daniel has there with that community and that shop and those people? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely if you're going to do it in a place where you already have a sense of community built, I think if I moved to a totally different state and started this, it wouldn't have worked. But since I already had this network of printmakers and friends, and it was close enough to where I was living in Western Mass, that made it work.
Yeah.
And I would say don't let the stress get to you. Just realize that you're doing it for fun. You only got one shot at this life, and don't think too much about everything at once. It's just, it works out if it has to.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice for, I think, a lot of things in the arts, because as I'm sure so much of the art is just gatekeeping indoors, and it's not a meritocracy in any way, shape, or form. And so it's who you go to school with and who you know and all this kind of thing. And I think people can get really in their head about that. And I love that idea of just don't let it stress you out. If it's meant to be, it'll be. And it's whatever it is, we're doing this because it's supposed to be joyful and fulfilling. Otherwise we could just all go into finance and do something.
I also say too, let everyone in. A lot of the members and students of mine have this sort of fear. They think printmaking is just elite. You have to be really good at it. And there's almost like this shyness I get from a lot of people who walk in saying, oh, I only know how to do like a little lino cut stamp or things like that. And you got to support. That's great. Someone gets their start.
Totally.
So I find that getting people in the door and teaching them right off the bat is the best way to have folks sort of stick with you and feel welcome.
Yeah, I love that. And even again, of all the people that I've interviewed, I can't tell you how many said they started with a potato stamp. Even the people who are in museums now and that sort of thing. So it's definitely, the openness is certainly part of it. Yeah. So you're going along and you're building your business, and you survived opening in March of 2020. But then you got another curveball, right? In July 2023. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So turns out I had bad cancer growing for a year or two. It's hard to tell, but I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, which We still don't know how I got it. It's just bad luck. But I remember finding a big old bump on my neck here. It was soft and squishy. So I thought, all right, that's not a tumor. It's like a weird sty or something. And then I would just randomly throw up throughout the day. And I was like, shit, all right, something's going on. And I remember I was teaching that day. I got the phone call and I had to cancel the class. Just hearing that you got cancer. And it was rough because during that time, years prior, couldn't really get a doctor because it was COVID and hospitals were just flooded. Getting a PCP or anything like that was damn near impossible, especially since I moved to a new town and everything. Yeah, that was pretty brutal. So that was 6 months of chemo, 12 sessions. And yeah, still made it work. And during that time, I actually moved my entire business from the basement upstairs to a new, beautiful location. I was also teaching my first college level course during that time too.
Wow.
That was a lot. So going through chemo, teaching college, and moving all at once. I think that may have been the hardest point of my whole life by far, but still here. I guess I'm pretty hard to kill because I don't know how I did it, but last I checked, back in March, I was in the clear for my final PET CT scan. So still got the port placement in right now, but in about 6 months, we'll know if I'm totally in the clear. But the doctors are confident that I was able to beat it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for like kind of people listening, so when the sort of stages of cancer, I feel like stage 4 has this really big, bad sound to it. At least that's what I associate with it. Did that hit you as well? Like that kind of association of what that means when you were told?
A little bit. At first, I thought I was going to die for like a month or two. But then the more they did the scans and things like that, they were saying that I caught it in time where it didn't reach the bone marrow, but they considered it a stage 4 because it was a mass that spread about 12 to 13 inches and infected my lungs at one point. If it got in the bone marrow, then it would have been a much worse story, but thankfully it didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, stage 4 it wasn't fun hearing that for sure.
I was just going to ask about the logistics, like you're being a sole proprietor, you're being a small business owner, and you're looking at going through really serious medical treatment that sort of famously it's zapping energy. And my father had prostate cancer for 15 years and was in and out of cancer treatments. And I got to see firsthand like all the kind of extra stuff that can go along with chemo when you're immunocompromised like that, the extra infections that can come up. He got gout once. So it's not even just the primary effects of the chemo, but of course there's many other things going on. How did you prepare for that, knowing that you'll need to keep working? Or how did you maybe even decide to keep working through it? Maybe is even a better question.
I found that building the studio, I brought in a table saw, chop saw, and moving and stuff, painting and all that was actually very helpful. I found that if I was sitting at home playing video games or just in bed, it was super depressing. And that's when I felt like I wasn't in control of my own life or my health. So I decided to really force myself to keep working. My nurses were not happy with me, but made it work. It was a weird time. I remember like losing all my nose hair and breathing in sawdust and stuff. It was just really strange. So yeah, I lost all my hair and everything. And it was during the winter in Vermont, so it was cold and all that. But having a project and a goal in mind kept me going and made me feel like, all right, you're not gonna die. It was a nice distraction. It just sucked being so tired all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I've not gone through that, but going through periods of, for instance, like deep grief, I've often found that doing anything that makes you feel like yourself again, there's such a medicine in that you're like, oh, I'm not just this thing that happened to me. I am still this person who runs a small business or works in this way or manifests something in the world in this way. That's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kept me going. And I don't know what else I would do. Probably just sleep all day if I wasn't doing that. So that's good. It kept me in shape, kept me going. So that was, pretty recent. This hair is just coming back and it's still super short.
Is it curly? Growing back curly?
It's gonna be. Yeah, good question. Yeah, they call it chemo curls. So it changed color and it changed texture. So it was very
Interesting.
light brown, almost like black now. And
Yeah.
it like got thickened, which is weird.
Yeah. That actually sounds nice. Just like
Yeah.
thick curly hair. Heck, yeah. Yeah. And I can imagine that your community must have been devastated by this, but also stepped up. If I know one thing about print people, they've got a good heart and they look out for each other.
Yeah, they did step up, and one of my old former mentor at ZMAs, she was the one who started the GoFundMe. So that was Liz Chalfin. So she's an incredible woman, and having that whole community at ZMAs and then the first proof community helping out was really nice. And that's, I think, honestly, what saved the business is having that.
Yeah.
Because there was no real financial backing. I didn't take out any loans or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then moving and stuff was difficult, but fortunately, one of my students at Community College of Vermont, where I taught printmaking, he runs a bodybuilding gym in town. So I just asked him and 10 of his like buff dude friends to push like the American French stool press up the stairs and everything. So we got it done.
That's amazing.
So that was nice. Yeah.
Just come on, guys, go use those muscles for something.
Yeah. That's what they do for fun. They'll pull cars like in parking lots for fun. It's crazy. Thank you, Pale Horse Barbell. If you have any presses moved, go contact them.
That's amazing. So was the timing of the move just because it had to happen then, just because the space was opening up then? How did that end up coming in the middle of everything else going on?
A little bit of both. So the space opened up and it was going to be an event space. The building owner, Tom Badette, who's like the voice in Motel 6 and on NPR and stuff, cool guy. He owns a building, and in that building there is Hatch Space, which is a woodworking makerspace, Vermont Center of Photography, which is a photo makerspace, and then Wheelhouse, which is a ceramic makerspace, all in the same building. So I pitched this idea. I was like, an event space is cool, but in a town of 13,000 people, it didn't seem super feasible. So I was like, how about it's both, but primarily a print shop. So I wrote like this 10-page essay and all that, and then got the space, signed a 5-year lease, and it just made sense to have like basically every art medium in one building.
Yeah.
It's just been really amazing to see.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in the country, to be honest with you.
That cross-pollination must be incredible between people who come in for printmaking and get their head turned by ceramics and just the different art openings or open studios. All of that must be such a gathering point for the town and for the surrounding area.
Yeah, it's definitely a staple. And we do joint workshops now. Like we'll do woodblock carving. So we'll do some fancy techniques upstairs at the woodworking makerspace, and then we'll go downstairs and print at the print shop, or we'll do ceramic glaze screen printing, and then they'll use the kilns downstairs to fire it, things like that.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
That's really cool. What's the name of, does the building have a full name?
Right now it's just called High Street and Green.
Okay.
Which is the intersection of the streets.
Easy to find then. Yeah. No questions there. That's really cool. Yeah.
Right downtown, and my shop is open to the public, and I think the ceramic and the photo one is. The woodworking one, I'm not sure. I'm assuming not, because there's like table saws and stuff, so I don't want to cut any fingers off.
Yeah. Do you feel like now that you're back at whatever you felt like 100% on the other side of this would look like?
Honestly, better. I feel like if I had stayed in the previous location, I don't think the business would have worked. And I definitely wasn't very happy there because there was like no windows. It was in a basement and it was not visible. So I'm really enjoying the new visibility, having this big garage door that you could open up. And on top of that, dogs are welcome. To have my shop dog there.
Very important. Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like the experiences we talked a little bit about how it's having Hodgkin's lymphoma and then going through all of the treatments. We talked a little bit how it's like literally changed you physically in the sense of your hair is different now. But do you feel like it's changed you as a person or changed you in your relationship to your work in any way?
I want to say, yeah. I feel like now if like I get a flat tire on the road, it's not going to stress me out. I think I went through the hardest thing, like one of the hardest things a person can go through. Yeah, it was a move. it was teaching, it was a breakup. It was just a lot of things at once that just really, I feel like, reset who I am and the way I think at this point. So I'm trying to just focus on that and being thankful. And yeah, I think I'm still processing it too. It's all so new.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that like those really challenging times and those real ego death times that we get to face, where at least I can speak from the I associate myself so much with being productive, having energy, like maybe being in a partnership or producing things. It's like the capitalist bug that is the water that's in the water that we all drink in this country. That's, if I'm not productive, if I'm not at like peak performance, how can I have any value? And times when that gets challenged and you actually have to live that little bit of ego death, it's really a crossroads. And I've known so many people, it's where it's like you can choose to rebuild into a higher self, or people can get lost in kind of bitterness, I think, too. And it seems like you've really picked a high road, which is always wonderful to see. Yeah.
I'm trying to. There's definitely rough days still, but it's, yeah, like I said, it's hard to just be angry and bitter when I got a good thing going on. And I just got to be thankful that I actually beat that serious cancer.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And is it feel once you, as you said, you've got this prediction that in 6 months, you're going to really get this kind of clean slate and you'll get your port out and you'll really get to look at this as another bookend, right? On this, like a bookend on what was this period in your life. Do you think it'll feel like you'll want to look to the horizon from, okay, like now what? What's my next mountain to climb or something like that? Or do you think it'll be just like, I'm just going to enjoy just not thinking about anything super challenging for a while?
I definitely want to make more etchings again. I think my personal work really took a back seat for years now. Running the business was just always in the forefront, and then getting sick was always in the forefront. And I lost why I love printmaking so much. And that's one of the reasons why I built a home studio, because running the print shop, you're there to be accessible and interruptible.
Right.
And I find it was just hard to get my own work done. And I love helping people out and teaching them and seeing their faces when they pull print off the press or they run that squeegee through and print a t-shirt. It's amazing. But I found that I wasn't able to focus on my own work. So now that's the next step, is just getting really back into it and pushing my skills even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us like a little bit about your own work. I feel like I've seen some of it and it looks like it's a lot of kind of interiors. It's like meditations on space, as in like physical space, not necessarily outer space. But yeah, I'd love to hear it from you and like what you explore with that.
Yeah, so a lot of that is just finding what home is. I feel like for a long time, especially when you're early mid-20s, you don't really know. And you're just bopping around a lot, and you have like roommates or crappy apartments you don't really know. And I always remember as a kid, the most comforting places were forts I would build out in the middle of the woods and things like that. So that was a huge inspiration to the ramshackle way things look in my prints. Everything's kind of hodgepodge together. So that was a big influence there. Also traveling, the feeling you get from just getting out of your comfort zone, it's also a huge inspiration. And not coming from money, flying to different countries is difficult for me. So for most of my life, I would just pack up the truck and just go. And that was also a big inspiration of feeling uncomfortable, but then having that place of home in the back of your car, which is just, I don't know, I always thought it was really nice.
Yeah. So you would go and you would actually just like car camp on these trips, it sounds like?
Yeah, every summer I go to see friends in Asheville and Raleigh. So that was a big inspiration too. And that's why you see a lot of these weird car camper setups and things like that.
Gotcha.
Which I was working on building a physical one, but unfortunately I got sick. And then a super wet summer here, so I had to give up on that project. But that's definitely on the horizon in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think that when you return to it, you'll still be interested in these things, even after having gone through life-changing events like illness, small business ownership, all of that?
If anything, I'm more interested because now I could go out and do things and not worry about making it to the hospital next week.
Right.
Getting infused with God knows what. Yeah, I feel like I have freedom again. So definitely.
Oh, that's beautiful. As a small business owner, are you able to leave? Can you put it on autopilot, First Proof on autopilot a bit if you needed to go take a
A
trip
little
to
bit.
Raleigh?
At this point, there are trusted members, and I switched the business model. The new space does allow people to have keys, and I just have a security camera set up.
Mm.
I do trust everyone super fully at this point, and I do feel more comfortable stepping out. Before, I felt like I had this really magnetic draw to the studio where if I was gone for a day, things would burn down and the place would explode. That took a little while to shake off, but yeah, now people are offering to watch the space, and if anything, they like it that way because they feel like it's a little more private and peaceful, and they could
Yeah.
just come in at their own time and do whatever they want.
Yeah. And I think giving somebody agency and stewardship over a place is an amazing way to build community and an amazing way to give them a stake in the experience and of what it is. So, yeah. Oh, that sounds like a really like a very exciting time for sure.
Yeah, it's great because I feel less like a boss and more
Mhm.
just like I'm just the guy who runs it kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, and people, the members there really do love having keys and coming in earlier if they want, or if they need to bring their kid in or their dog in. It's totally cool. And that's, yeah, like you said, great for community building. And it's really important for me for people to feel comfortable and like they own sort of it in a way, so that when they're working, they don't feel like they're breaking any rules or doing something they shouldn't be doing, which is
Yeah.
super important for the creative process.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about everything First Proof offers? Actually, we talked about different revenue streams, but you really have quite a variety of ways that people can come and print. But what are all they?
So the mediums we offer, it's basically everything except for lithography. So we got etching, photopolymer, woodblock printing, screen printing, monotype, all that good stuff. Recently got a laser cutter too, which is a lot of fun. So what else do we do? So we do memberships. There's 4 different rates. If you want to come in twice a month, you can. If you want to come in every single day, you can. And it just varies in price. Our workshops, right now I'm the only teacher, so I'm trying to work on getting more teachers contracted in. But we have about 2 a month, and we really push beginner workshops right now.
Nice.
And the goal is to get fresh new faces, especially students who recently graduated from colleges around. Because a lot of colleges, once you graduate, you can't go back into the print shop.
Right.
And I remember being devastated when I graduated that I couldn't go hang out at the print shop anymore. So that's why I went right to ZMAs. What else do we do? We partner with youth services for the past 3 years. We teach art classes to at-risk teens and youth. It's almost like a diversion program, and the state pays them to do that. So a lot of screen printing and things like that.
Yeah. And you teach those as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. My role, though, is I get to just be the cool art teacher, which is nice.
Yeah.
So there's social workers present, but I'm just I have the easy job, which is fun.
Yeah.
And I remember one day, it was like the best thing hearing ever. We asked in the circle group, like, all right, what do you want to be when you grow up? And one of the kids said, I want to be Dan, but mine is the business part. It's like, smart kid. That was awesome to hear.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And that's great because that's how I survived high school. I was a terrible student, but my art teacher really had my back. So I'm happy to keep that going.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. We also are storefront. So people who are members at the studio are invited to submit their artwork and they get to keep 70% of the profits.
Cool.
That model, I saw what Allie Norman was doing at Labyrinth and her like really cool storefront she has set up there. So that was super inspiring. And now that we're on a more visible location, it's definitely taken off more.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that when it comes to selling prints and selling prints from members, how do you deal with pricing? I've always wondered because I feel like that can get so tricky sometimes. And if somebody says, I know this is my first etching, but it's $5,000 because it's a masterpiece, or somebody who's, this is $10 when that's not a fair thing either. Do you have those kinds of, have to have those kinds of conversations?
A little bit. I just get the question a lot, what should I charge for this? And my sort of default answer is the price point people are willing to spend when they walk through the door is anywhere between $20 and $75. So think about what it's worth. Obviously, if it's just like 5-color etching, definitely way higher, but you got to know your market too. As beautiful and cool as printmaking is, there's quite a few people who don't really know what it is. And explaining that and keeping it very simple has been really helpful. I find most people are happy just charging $40, $50 for a print.
Yeah.
Because most memberships run around $75 a month. So if they could break even, they're happy.
Yeah. Can you see the shop from the storefront? If you're standing in the storefront, can you see people working? Is I guess what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like a big fishbowl. And luckily, all the members at First Proof really like being seen to an extent. Obviously, there's some people who overstay their welcome, if you will. But for the most part, the storefront is sectioned off, but you could definitely see the whole studio. It's essentially just one big rectangle.
Yeah, because I found that the workshops will have, like I said, like a model, a bit book, what you have, where you work with different revenue streams, and part of that is a little shop, and part of it is workshops. But the ones that I feel do well with selling often have that connection where people can come in on the street and see what's happening. So it's not this abstract explanation of, so there's one thing where you put the ink in what you've taken away, and there's other things where you put the ink in what you have left. And that stuff is just, you just see people glaze over. But if they can see somebody with an apron, even just mixing ink, it lights up more curiosity about what they're actually holding in their hand.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. It demystifies the process, and getting to see the artist who made the print really helps too, because then people feel that connection. You go, oh, this is Bonnie's print or Felipe's print, and they get to meet the artist, talk about the process, and almost like 90% of the time it equals out in the sale, which is great. And there's that connection, and it's gotten to the point now where members at the studio are getting jobs just by meeting people coming in the studio space, so which has been really nice.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Gosh, I mean, it really sounds like you've really built something special, and that people are finding a hearth around First Proof, which is a beautiful thing to offer the world. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to hear.
Do you have any kind of big dreams for the space? So it's now just a little over 4 years old. And if in the next 4 years or the next 10 that you would really like to see change or grow into anything?
Yeah, I want to see, right now we have about 15 members. I would like to reach 40. That would be really nice. I'd sleep better at night. Plus, it'd be nice to have more people, fresh faces, see what's made. One thing I really want to do, and the building isn't zoned for this, so I'd have to figure this out, is a residency program. There's a lot of beautiful places in Vermont that are close enough to the studio, 15, 20-minute drive. So it'd be nice to have a either off-location print shop or some sort of residency program where they could access First Proof, and maybe not just First Proof, but also the woodworking, ceramic, photo maker space. So I'm in talks with all the other business owners to think about how do we acquire a space to facilitate something like that. And I think it will work, because Brattleboro is really trying to push new people coming in. The whole state of Vermont is actually. We're trying to get fresh faces, because it is quite an aging population. I think it definitely is in the cards. And I don't know, I'll meet some state reps eventually and see what they say about it.
So now you're really talking like a small business owner. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like that's the kind of thing that people don't necessarily know is part of being in the art world, is that there's some really interesting high-level schmoozing that often has to happen that, again, you certainly don't get trained for in a BFA.
No, I don't have a business bone in my body, so I'm trying to figure all that out. But I guess that's another dream, is find a bookkeeper.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a good one. That is definitely a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly the residency program. It'd be great to have people from other countries come on in and experience the space there. And we just had someone from France stop by, and they were amazed. They're like, we haven't seen anything like this ever. It's really cool to hear something like that.
It looks like I've seen photos of the space online and it looks beautiful that you have that big, beautiful kind of teal press and it's got all that like wood and windows and things. It really does look like, at least in the new space, I don't think I ever saw photos from basement time, but that it looks like a very professional, very open setup, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun project. That's something I've always loved about setting up studio spaces is how things flow, where things could go. And I remember I had to teach myself woodworking from scratch because I thought about getting contractors and it just was not in the cards financially. So I went out to Home Depot and dropped like $500 on a table saw and chop saw and just made it work. And that's been great because then doing it that way, you're able to use every single inch of space to maximize the openness of it. And that was a lot of fun, actually, setting all that up.
Yeah. I feel like that's a particular kind of gift. You could make a side business as like a print studio whisperer or something of coming in and saying.
I've been told that a few times now.
Yeah. Because I've been in a lot of print shops around the world. A lot of them have real bad feng shui. You can just tell that it's just like that whatever visual reasoning that the people who set it up have that makes them good printmakers, it does not translate into interior design.
I think one thing that was my pet peeve running the shop is answering the same questions of like where things are. And I found just doing that so many times a day. I'm a very patient person, but even that would get under my skin. So I made it my goal to make everything super organized, everything super labeled, everything has a home. And it's really great because then people come on in, probably their second or third day, they know where everything is. And that's really great. And that helps make it so that they feel like they're self-sufficient and that they're comfortable in the space and happy working there.
Yeah. Yeah. That might be more valuable than a business degree, actually, having that gift. Because it's like,
maybe.
It could be. Because then what you're doing is, of course, you're buying yourself time by not answering the questions over and over again. And if you make a space that's beautiful, people are more likely to take photos in it. They're more likely to give you the best promotion I think a small business can get, which is somebody seeing it on someone else's social media and saying, hey, I had a great time here. I'm feeling a valuable part of my life is being spent here in this space. And yeah, you can't ask for anything better than that, I don't think. Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. It's very sweet.
I know we talked about like the future in an abstract way, but is there anything concrete on the horizon that you'd like to give a voice to that's coming up, or any, I don't know, opportunities or places, things on the horizon that just you want to put some energy towards on a platform like this?
Yeah. So we are definitely accepting new members. So if you want to come hang out in the coolest print shop ever, reach out. If you are local, one thing we love doing is every first Friday of the month from 5 to 9, we do gallery walk downtown where we like shut down a main street. All the businesses open up their doors and it's like a really magical night. And we do live printing and give tours and things like that. So if you're ever in town for that, that'd be great. And we're trying to push more gallery openings in the physical space. We do have a big gallery wall. So we're working on doing a community show there for all the members at First Proof to really get some exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's such a lovely part, I think, of the kind of ecosystem of making work is seeing it received by the public. Like, it's one thing to sweat over an etching for many hours, and it's another thing to see someone else connecting with it. Yeah, I definitely understand that.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really know. I'm just happy to be here and really just want to share the space and get people in there. We built such a beautiful thing, and it makes me happy when people actually interact with it and see it.
Yeah, totally.
It's gotten to the point now where it doesn't feel like it's like just mine. It feels like more of a gift to the community.
That's beautiful. Where can people find you online and follow you online and see photos and maybe see photos of your adorable 6-month-old shop dog?
Oh, yeah. Ollie. We're on Instagram, just at First Proof Press, and then firstproofpress@gmail.com is our email, and then firstproofpress.com.
Wonderful.
Okay. I will put links to all of that in your show notes for this episode. And thank you again for speaking with me, and congratulations on your continued good health and what you've built and first proof and being a relatively new dog dad.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And that's our show for this week. Join me in 2 weeks' time when my guests will be Ronaldo Gil Zambrano and Christian Garbanzo, aka the Hello Print Friend documentary team. We talk about our trip earlier this year to Oaxaca, Mexico to record and produce a documentary short about the history and present of this printmaking paradise. You won't want to miss it. If you like today's episode, we have a Patreon where you can help support this podcast and get bonus content like Shop Talk Shorts with past guests. But the very best thing you can do to support this podcast is listen, rate, follow, and share with your fellow print friends around the world. This episode, like all episodes, was written and produced by me, Miranda Metcalf, with editing by Timothy Pauschak and music by Joshua Weber. I'll see you in 2 weeks.